Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the AI Spy. I hope you've caught up with all our past episodes. If you haven't, please do so. Also, do subscribe on Spotify or on YouTube so that you don't miss any of our new episodes and are all caught up with all our updates. So, usually on the podcast, we deal with topics around fraud prevention, we deal with topics around money laundering. Today, we are taking a slight departure. We are talking about a very interesting, very intriguing topic, and there will be a few things that we talk about. We'll talk about AI regulation. We'll talk about a little bit about how generative AI is accused of data laundering, or how artists feel that it is generative AI in a way is impinging on their creativity. We'll also talk about a very positive and innovative application of some of the generative AI tools in dealing with mental stress. So, joining me today is a guest who brings a very unique blend of expertise from AI regulations and his company that deals with or his new venture that deals with new application of generative AI to help with mental stress. Without further ado, joining me today is Norvin Chan. Norvin is a tech lawyer and the founder of BrokenBear. Norvin, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks Anurag for having me.
So Norvin, I always start the podcast by asking the origin story of my guest. So, how did you get into tech law and find your way into AI?
So when I was a university student, I actually co-founded a legal tech startup called Lex Quanta. So in the past, I was very interested in legal tech because I was a bit concerned about how lawyers are kind of like a dinosaur profession in the sense that we are very conservative and the uptake of legal tech tools are quite low. So back then I founded Lex Quanta, and we were very focused on the use case of applying AI to questions in law which we think would benefit from data science. So the most major project that we built and we were commissioned to build it, we built the AI module of this thing called an outcome simulator for the state courts. So it essentially is an algorithm to produce an estimate of how much a victim of a road traffic accident should claim for against the opposing driver. So that was back in 2016, and ever since then I have always had one foot in tech, and which is why I became a tech lawyer, and which is why I did BrokenBear as well.
So and you're also a student. You are a CS computer science student,
Yes.
currently pursuing a degree in computer science.
Yes, because I think lawyering or law is just one discipline, and I believe quite a lot in what Charlie Munger says, that you have to learn the big ideas from different disciplines. And after seeing that, hey, like CS is a very interesting way to view the world in the sense of trying to look at what are algorithms and trying to look at what are the patterns that AI can learn from and eventually approximate intelligence. So these are, I guess, very big ideas that are shaping the world today, which is why I am also doing a CS Masters, because I'm worried about not being able to understand the new world.
Yeah, that's it's brilliant. I think that'll help you quite a lot in your venture, which we will talk about a little later, and also in generally with tech law. Now, I want to talk to you about a few topics, but I want to start with regulations and regulations in AI. So there have been a lot of calls from many quarters to put in more regulations or to regulate AI. And I often feel that things, when they are not understood or misunderstood, there is more calls for AI. There are more calls for regulations. So based on your experience, how do you see regulations evolving? Is it possible to regulate AI? Is it possible to regulate any such type of technology? And what are the evolving regulations that we see?
All right, maybe let's zoom out and look at the country level. I will describe 4 countries, and then we can see their different perspectives. So for Singapore is pretty much no no AI specific regulations for now, meaning that we regulate AI under existing laws. So AI does not exist in a lawless vacuum because existing laws such as data privacy applies to it, and things like, let's say, Taylor Swift deepfakes, the media content policies that online publishers are subject to, they are that would cause such deepfakes to be regulated. And Singapore also is not keen on having AI specific regulations for now because after all, if you regulate something, then you are less attractive a place for AI businesses to set up in. And fundamentally, if you do not have AI specific legislation, you are also being what we call technology agnostic, which means that you view existing technology through the lenses of current laws. And current laws already protect various interests of society, and basically are just seeing whether this new AI thing bumps up against the current laws, then that's when it gets regulated. So that's the Singapore approach. Meanwhile, we have the US approach, which I think is currently drowned in the existential noise and threat of, hey, like we are going to create an AGI and there's going to be an end of humanity. So that is a very good reason not to regulate AI, because in the sense that I think the legislators are probably paralyzed in the sense of I think the framing of the narrative in the US is, do we ban this or do we not ban this? Do we put a moratorium and freeze development or do we not do anything at all? So they're not looking into the other approaches that EU and China are doing. So on the EU side, they view it at an abstract level in the sense of, hey, we have our EU fundamental rights, and how is AI going to threaten these fundamental rights? So for instance, they are very focused on the right of equality versus the possible tendency of AI systems to have systematic discrimination. So they are reasoning at the abstract levels, and they are also happy to regulate AI as a specific thing because currently there are no huge AI players, homegrown players in the EU space. So they are happy to regulate these foreign companies that come to their shores to do business. And last but not least, we have China. So China has taken a very interesting approach, which is that it's basically looking at AI and looking at predicting in advance, I think based on very reasonable inferences on what concrete harms could AI produce. So deepfakes is a very clear case. And basically, if you have AI generated images, you need to label them, you need to mark them, you need to watermark them. So these are very concrete examples that China is going after, which I think could make sense as well. Yeah, so this is generally a different regulatory approaches, and I think any country looking at the 4 different approaches would kind of adopt a mix and match of them.
That's brilliant. So a lot of the, I think you mentioned the deep fakes and the Taylor Swift fakes, and then there was also the President Biden fakes, which generated a lot of noise around, okay, let's start, there's immediate need to regulate something without fully understanding what needs to be done. But another area where people are calling for regulation or legislation is when it comes to copyright. So there are many artists, some of the visual artists who have claimed that generative AI tools like Discord or DALL-E, which the text to image kind of tools that exist in the market, that these tools are copying the creative designs of existing artists, existing works. And there is some discourse over should that be allowed, should that be regulated. Now, in your experience, what have you seen? Is it? I mean, it's an open debate, but is there any legal precedent to say that it is data theft, or it is copyright infringement, or it is not? When it comes to these text to image tools, which are recreating art, not exactly, but maybe close representations of what exists.
Okay, so I think the best legal angle that artists would have would be under copyright infringement. So data theft, I can't see it applying here because one is not personal data, and second, it is not as though the artist locked up the data in some safe and then like Midjourney comes along to steal it. So it's more that let's say a typical case, the artist posts the image on DeviantArt and then it is copied into one of the training data sets and then used to train a foundational AI model, such as Stable Diffusion. So the ground for copyright infringement, so when we look at copyright, it's about the act of copying, and there are two instances in which one of the AI providers copied the artwork. The first is during the training phase. The second is during the image generation phase. So let's look at the training phase first. So the training phase is when the provider, in order to run the AI training algorithm on the image, needs to first have a copy of the image in its training data set. So that's the first copying. So at this point, if the artist says, hey, I want to sue on the grounds that, hey, this image was copied. And the problem is that, like let's say it's Midjourney being sued. Midjourney will say, when I am copying your image from the training data phase, I'm actually not interested in your art style. I'm actually interested in the general idea of, let's say, how to draw a human being, the general idea of how to draw an anime character, the general idea of, let's say, trying to get the number of fingers on my AI generated image correct. So this is this actually makes Midjourney eligible perhaps for the fair use exemption, where it's saying that I'm copying you not for the sake of copying you, but the sake of creating something altogether new.
So it's the same as if, like, I have a 6-year-old at home, and when I flip through a image and I teaching me this is a duck, this is so it's
correct.
like it's the same way that the machine is learning. It's not like my 6-year-old is stealing someone's work. It's recognizing patterns and learning something.
Correct.
It's the same
Correct.
analogy, maybe. Yeah. Okay.
Correct, exactly. Yes. So some jurisdictions, such as Singapore and the UK, we actually recognize this form of fair use as a specific category on its own called computational data analysis. And the idea is that we are trying to teach the machine some very, very general abstract patterns, what's a duck and so on and so forth. That is fair use. And there's a specific legislation exemption to allow for this. So when Midjourney copies at the stage of training, the artist's case against Midjourney is quite weak because the copying is not really targeted at the artist. And then the second act of copying that could happen is when the image generated is actually in the artist's artistic style. So when the artist tries to sue, the artist will also face some obstacles. The first is that when the image that's generated is based on the artist's art style, it is quite rare for, let's say, Midjourney, which is trained on billions of images, to actually produce that artist-specific art style without the prompt being very engineered. So meaning that the prompt would probably state that artist-specific art style itself, or the artist name. So when the artist when the artist keys in his own name and generates the image, the court might say, okay, that's fine, but how many other people other than you are actually trying to generate an image in your own style? So even if the artist can win based on that generated image, the court might say, in the real world, like, nobody is actually doing this, so the damages given to you is very little, because there's no loss that you actually incurred, because there's no market that you actually lost. That leaves the artist with, let's say, the alternative of claiming for statutory damages. So in some jurisdictions, you can have, let's say, a $10,000 like damages that the judge gives under legislation, meaning that it's very hard to prove what the loss is. So the lawmakers, they provided that if the judge feels that some factors are met, the judge can give like, let's say, $10,000 or so to the artist, which is also not a lot of money for actually going through the whole hassle of doing this lawsuit. So that.
So
that
can I ask you a
puts-
question here? So when you spoke about the artistic style, right? So if you think about Netflix and how the Netflix, the images that Netflix has, the app itself, and the image, image art for the cover pages, and it has a very unique design. It has a very particular font, a color scheme. The same is maybe the best example would be if you think of Marvel movies. The posters, the artwork for Marvel, it's very, very unique. And I think there is some creative artist that has generated a very unique design. But I actually can go to Discord and tell Midjourney, generate an image in the style of Netflix. So you're saying that even if we say that, because there are so few instances of it, that this does not constitute violation, or does this actually constitute? Because in this case, it's a very unique style.
Okay. So the point I was making just now is that even if it constitutes violations, the damages are likely to be minimal. Yeah. So
Okay, so it's not a
basically,
wide
yeah.
scale. It's like minimal damages because
Correct.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So that also makes it like who will want to bring a lawsuit if at the end of the lawsuit all you get is a little like sum of money, and then you incur
Right.
so much legal fees and so much stress while running the lawsuit. Since you brought up style, let me bring up the second hurdle. The second hurdle is about whether it is infringement in the first place. So there is a very strong counter argument against the artist, which is that generally an artist's art style is not protected because copyright, it protects only the expression of the idea but not the idea itself. So let's say we are talking about the Disney art style. We can say that the Disney art style is in a way an idea of anthropomorphic animals with like big eyes and very cute features. So when, let's say, you generate or Midjourney generates images in the Disney art style, it's quite hard for Disney to sue based on an infringement of the art style itself, because arguably the art style is an idea which copyright does not protect. So on the other hand, if Midjourney generates a picture of Mickey Mouse, then that's a character, that's a very specific expression of the Disney art style, which the courts will protect. So that is two different levels of abstraction, which
Got
is
it.
the Disney art style versus Mickey Mouse. And if you are trying to, as an artist, sue on the art style alone, it's going to be quite hard. But if you can identify, let's say, a specific motif, which is how you express your art style, then you have a better chance of getting some protection.
Understood. Yeah. So the Marvel equivalent will be, I cannot create a Hulk or a Thor,
Correct.
but I can I can recreate a style. An artist can recreate a style, and it is it. I think we have seen that. I mean, in music, we see that often, right? Like certain musicians, when they first come along, they come with a very unique sound, but then there are others who imitate the sound and style, not necessarily the tune, but the style, the way the instrument, the kind of the instruments they use, like heavy on percussion maybe, or this. So I think it's very, very similar. The argument and the idea is very, very similar.
Yes.
Okay, so that thanks for clarifying that. Now I asked you very, very heavy topics, but I want to now move on to BrokenBear, which you gave me the link and I started chatting with BrokenBear. So first, maybe for generally for the audience, tell us what BrokenBear is and how did the idea for BrokenBear come to you?
Okay. So BrokenBear is an AI teddy bear that is designed to love your broken self. So BrokenBear is essentially an AI chatbot. It's based on Carl Rogers' philosophy of what he calls unconditional positive regard, which is that even if you are a heinous criminal, even if you feel that you don't deserve it, Broken Bear regards you in a very positive way. And this is thought by Carl Rogers to be essentially a pillar of support for a person, as a person like reflects and eventually resolves to move on with life. So Broken Bear is based on this philosophy. So Broken Bear is really this cute big purple teddy bear which is designed to love you and support you. So Broken Bear is kind and encouraging, and I mean, if I hope he works well by discouraging you from certain bad things as well. So that is Broken Bear in a nutshell.
And it's unconditional love, right? It's That's also very important. The Broken Bear doesn't say that, hey, I'm only going to love you, or only going to support you if you do X or now. It's Broken Bear is always there for you. It's like you said, it's like a digital teddy bear. No, but it's a great idea. So we see so many applications of generative AI, some positive. Many times generative AI is in the news for negative applications of somebody stealing data, or fraudsters using deep fakes to defraud people. So I love when there is these kind of positive applications. But how did you come up with the idea? Was this something personal, or where did it originate, the idea?
So personally, I think when I was a teenager, I would have benefited from something like Broken Bear. So more recently, because I actually launched Broken Bear on early version before ChatGPT, and that was when I looked at basically Eliza, which is I guess the first chatbot that's meant to talk to humans and mimic a therapist. So basically, I looked at Eliza and I looked at like the NLP technologies in 2021, and I thought that hey, like Eliza is due for an upgrade. So as I was coming out with a better version, GPT came along, and I eventually adopted the GPT technology. And then, I launched an early version of Broken Bear in 2021, I think. Then ChatGPT came along. Then I'm like, oh, like the technology is really mature now, and Broken Bear can really work well.
It's brilliant. So a couple of questions that come to mind. One is, can it give you advice in a very few let's say, let me rephrase the question. So in which circumstances does Broken Bear work? If I'm having trouble at work, or maybe the other example could be, I'm having issues with my marriage, or I am too stressed at work. Does Broken Bear work for all of them, or it's been trained and it's more helpful in some versus other use cases?
I think given its data set, it should be able to handle a range of situations. Yeah, should be able to handle the three situations you pointed out.
Okay, and so how was it trained to know what to answer and how to positively support someone? What was the training process like?
So a part of the training data set came from the Carl Rogers transcripts. So he had transcripts of his actual therapy sessions, and that was fed into Broken Bear's fine-tuning data set. And we also have there are some subreddits where people conflict each other in a style which I think is quite suitable for Broken Bear. So we use those as well.
And it's ongoing, right? The more people use, the more the model is getting trained. It's also ongoing training, as and when more people chat with it.
There's ongoing training, but there's a human in the loop, which is me. So only when I update the model with examples, which I think are good, because currently I'm a bit afraid of a complete cycle without a human in the loop.
No, that's brilliant. I think human also. So you can actually verify the inputs that it is receiving versus the output that it's generating. So you can moderate that process. So yeah, I think a human in the loop also eliminates some hallucinations or negative use cases that might arise. So that's brilliant. Now, is Broken Bear publicly available for use for to everyone, or is it available in limited capacity now?
Oh no, everybody can use it, and it's on the web. It's a web browser app, so yeah, it's very easy to use.
How many users do you currently have using Broken Bear?
So since launch, we had 25,000 unique visitors and over 500,000 messages exchanged.
Excellent. And it's users from different geographies, different countries, or is it?
Yeah, it's very global.
Yeah, yeah. So, what is your vision? How do you envision Broken Bear? What's the ideal state where you want to see this evolve?
I mean, my ideal end state for it is to be something like an emotional safety net for the world. I mean, currently it's a side project. I'm funding it so I can afford to be as altruistic as I want. And I think there are other AI chatbots around, but none of it has that same altruistic angle because, like, let's say if you are lonely and you go for an AI girlfriend app, and then eventually the AI girlfriend will start like pestering you to buy like virtual clothes through microtransactions. So yeah, I mean there isn't that emotional safety net for the world, and I hope that Broken Bear can be that.
So I also didn't create a user, but I think you don't have to create a user, by the way.
Don't.
Anybody listening, you can start chatting with Broken Bear even without creating a user. And I started exchanging a few messages. I found it very useful. And one thing that how do I say it? The Broken Bear is actually a teddy bear. It gives you very supportive, nice responses. So if you're having a tough day at work, you didn't get the raise that you were expecting, you can talk to them. So it can be a friend, it could be a therapist, it could be the sometimes you go to a bar and you just want to talk to the bartender, and bartender gives you a few nice advice. Broken Bear can be that as well. So it's a very nice tool to have, to chat with. If you don't have, like Norvin said, if you don't have that emotional safety net, if you don't have people around you that can help and support you, or for some reason if you don't want to share what you're going through with them, I found that Broken Bear in these situations can be really useful. So many people, and I work in a very high performing job, and so many people in high performing job go through mental stress. There is still a stigma around admitting that you are going through mental stress. So for people like this, I think Broken Bear could be a really great application. So Norvin, thanks. I think it's a great idea, and I really wish you and your team all the best. So is it just you? I think it's a few people, like three or four people in your team.
So there's me. There's the artist that created Broken Bear, and there are two creatives who actually are the ones that helped me conceptualize Broken Bear.
So again, great. So I wish you all the best. Norvin, thank you for joining today, taking time out on this morning and early morning. Thank you for taking time out. Thank you for joining, and thank you for sharing your knowledge and expertise around AI. And I wish you all the best with Broken Bear.
Okay, thanks a lot, Anurag. Yeah.
So that was our episode, guys. Thank you for listening to another episode of the AI Spy. We'll be back again with another A-lister, with another great topic, with some interesting discussions. Until then, signing off, and I'll see you again in the next episode. Bye.